I am making my homemade pastrami sandwiches. I've got my 3-pound brisket here that has been brining for 3 days. It's ready to go. And the brine was actually really easy to make. I started with some salt, 2 kinds of sugar for sweetness and a little hint of molasses flavor, pickling spice, coriander and mustard seeds, pink curing salt to preserve and color the meat, 4 cloves of garlic, then covered everything with simmering water so that it can dissolve. Added cold water to cool it off, and then it was time for the showpiece, my gorgeous fatty brisket. I let the brine infuse into the meat for 3 days, and you really can just forget about it. I'm patting it dry because I'm gonna give it a shell of spices now. That's my favorite part, that edge of the pastrami where you can feel the spices between your teeth. I've got a mortar and pestle here that I'm gonna use to crush up some whole peppercorns. I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup. This will give it such a pretty color on the outside in addition to that tasty peppery flavor. A 1/4 cup of coriander, which is gonna give that woodsy note. This is a lot of spices, I know, but we're gonna give this guy a thick coat for the winter. I'll crush this up. That is the smell of pastrami. And then a couple of tablespoons of smoked paprika. So typically pastrami is smoked and then steamed, so I'm using this to help mimic some of that smokiness. I'll stir this right in, and now I have this gorgeous spice rub, and I'm gonna cover this in its entirety with this spice rub. It's just like covering something in glitter, but the glitter is actually spices, and the glue is actually brisket. I'm gonna flip it over and get it covered on the other side. This is going to be the most flavorful bite of meat I've had all day. Okay, this brisket has got a thick coat of spices. I'm gonna transfer it to my roasting pan. I'll rinse off my hands. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 inch of water to the bottom of the roasting pan, and that's gonna steam the meat to help it stay extra moist. I'm gonna grab some foil to cover it. This will help lock in that steam. I'll roast this at 300 degrees for 3 hours. I can smell it already. My pastrami is almost ready. It's been roasting for about 3 hours. Now I'm gonna do the unthinkable and make some onion rings to go on the sandwich as well. They couldn't be simpler. I just dredge and fry some thick slices of onion. I start with a little flour, then into the eggs, and coat in a combo of seasoned classic and panko breadcrumbs. Right, these are all breaded. I've got some oil heating to 350 degrees, and I'm gonna fry these just a few minutes until they're golden. It smells like a fast food restaurant in here. I love it. Oh, this is exactly the color that I'm looking for. Hello. It's golden and gorgeous. I'm gonna transfer it to a wire rack so any excess oil can drip off and it'll stay crispy. Season with a pinch of salt. And now it's time to check on the pastrami. I mean, that is a hunky piece of meat. I'm gonna transfer it to my cutting board and put these sandwiches together. I love that the accessories for a pastrami sandwich are typically kept really simple. Just good spicy deli mustard and some pickles. Okay, I'm ready to slice. I'm gonna get some slices across the grain. The knife just cuts right through it. Look at that color. I cannot not taste this immediately. Am I in New York right now? I'm having this out-of-body experience. This is insane. I don't know how this could possibly get any better, but I'm gonna make it better on a sandwich. Here I go. And I like some nice thick slices. Oh, look at that steam. I wish you could smell this right now. To assemble, I'll put out my pieces of rye bread, and I'm gonna add mustard to each of the slices. I'm getting excited. Next, the pastrami. I have a really good feeling about this. This is the real deal. I'll get my onion rings on. Give them a little smash so that they can all just get together. I'll top with some pickles and some cute toothpicks. Think. I'll slice. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this is the money shot. This is it. Oh my gosh, holy buckets. This is what I'm talking about. Ta-da! Hi. Okay, it is time to dive into this dinner. Splash.
It's my catfish sandwich with a chipotle lime slaw. Now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get some flour over here on the first one. A little bit of flour. And check it out, some chili powder. And this is gonna be the beginning dredge. This is what's gonna stick to the fish. A little chili powder and a little black pepper. Okay, this is what's gonna have first contact with the fish. Secondly, a little whole grain mustard. And the whole grain mustard is gonna go with a little beer, a little nice rich beer. You get that really great mustard flavor. You get the richness of the beer. You get the tanginess of the mustard, the sweetness of the beer, all these things going on, killer. Watch this little trick. Right underneath the hand, boom, Yahtzee. Okay, there we go. A little dark beer in there on that. And then, to make this whole battering process go on, a little panko breadcrumb here. Oh, good, I did have enough, okay? And these, a Japanese breadcrumb, really light, crunchy, holds onto the fish really well. It doesn't get soggy, doesn't get matted and cakey. Okay, some granulated garlic. Some paprika. Wow, that's some good looking color on that, huh? I always keep some fresh ground black pepper off to the side. Nice helping of that. Some salt, and there we are. All three are ready to go. Look at the color coming out in that. That'll really shine nice. Okay, so we get all this separated. The star of the show, these beautiful catfish fillets, nice and tender but firm, not overly fishy in their taste. I think they go great in gumbo, jambalaya. It's gonna work fantastic in the sandwich on this nice Cuban roll. I mean, it's gonna be quite the presentation. So we get this. Let me mix this up. Okay. Dredge this through here, like that. Here's my tray. Now into the beer, so the flour sticks to the fish. Now we get some of that great beer flavor and that mustard sticking to the flour, and then boom, into the panko, over the top like that. And I did not do my wet hand, dry hand, so as my son Hunter would say, I am now going to have Hulk fingers. They'll start building up. That's all right, I'm only doing 4 fillets. And what I'm gonna do is set them on this rack and let them dry out a little bit. And what happens, that helps the breadcrumbs adhere. And you see I'm really packing it on there, okay? This is gonna let the breadcrumbs adhere better, so when I fry it up, it's gonna give this nice, crunchy, stick-to-it kind of batter. Nobody flaking and falling off in this. Okay, some onions, red onions, some green onions, some red bells, some nice cabbage, and all this is gonna go together for this fantastic slaw that's gonna go on top of these catfish fillets that I have dredged in basically everything I have in the fridge and in the pantry. All right, get all this stuff down. There we go. Now this is gonna be the delicious chipotle lime slaw, and this is going to marinate in the fridge for a little bit. Let me get this out of the way. Oh, I gotta get a little bit of cilantro down in there as well. Let me just give a little piece of this out. Just a touch. Now, the chipotle pepper, of course, plays a nice piece in this, and you know on GBB that I love my chipotle peppers, but especially because when I'm thinking about being down in La Manzanilla, you know, my chill spot, just kind of goes hand in hand. Okay, some mayo, some sour cream, and some chipotles in adobo. Oh. One of my favorite things ever. I'm not kidding you. You know, at Chipotle, being a smoked jalapeno pepper, they had to have a way to preserve the pepper back in the day, so they would smoke it, they would dry it out. Well, then they reconstitute it by making this adobo, which is kind of like a spicy vinegar sauce made with tomatoes, and oh, it's so dynamite. I mean, it just goes hand in hand with all kinds of great Mexican or Southwestern food. So 1/2 cup of the sour cream in my precise measuring techniques here on GBB. Okay, let me get you a little salt, actually a little pepper, a little salt. Chipotles are a little small on this one, so I'm just gonna kind of use 2 on this one. Chop it up. Want to get as much of that sauce in there as I can. Okay, and as I said, that adobo's got the tomato sauce and vinegar, a little bit of salt in there to kind of reconstitute them and preserve them. Okay, so that's in. Now, here we go. microplane, take the zester, get some of the lime zest in there. Not going down too far, just getting the top piece there, and then taking it and getting the juice. The juice by itself just doesn't say lime enough. Now, I'm gonna put some lime juice, and I'm gonna put some white vinegar. And why the white vinegar? Well, you know, the vinegar kind of gives that real distinctive flavor and says, I am slaw. And the lime juice has kind of the citrusy, acidic side to it. So a couple tablespoons of that, and I think this will work out great. Okay, and before I go any farther, let me get a little bit of sugar in there too. Kind of bringing all the flavors together. Okay, so mix this up. Let this kind of hang out for a second, and then I'll pour it on top of that slaw mixture and pop that in the fridge. Cast iron skillet's ready to go, and we've only got about a 1/4 inch, a little bit more of oil in there, and these catfish fillets are ready to go downtown. Now these are gonna go down, I'm only gonna put 2 in at a time. Even though the cast iron really retains heat well, this is great for doing fried chicken, by the way, I don't wanna put too much in at one time, have them steam each other and lose some of the spreading. So in, nice and easy. Look at that, about halfway up. And another one. That's a hearty portion of catfish, I may say. Okay, so we'll let that bubble over like that. Let's take a minute here and turn these over and see if they're ready to go. I don't want to mess with them a lot. Actually, I don't want to use tongs. I want to use some kind of a spatula and see if this is ready to go over. I really want to make sure that the crust, the crunch is really set up on that other side. So let me take a look here. All right, that bad boy's ready to go over for sure. There we go. And over on this one, nice golden brown. Look at that. Little Cuban roll, toasted it there with some butter. Actually grabbed some of this slaw, throw that right on top of this chipotle lime slaw that I made. Fantastic. Let me grab a cuchillo, look at that thing. And what we're gonna, look at this. I just gotta check it out. I wanna see what it looks like from the side here. It's enough to feed 3 people, just one sandwich. Take a look at that. Let me get into a bite of this. Wow.
The ultimate turkey sandwich. So I'll start by roasting some of this turkey breast. I'm gonna preheat my oven to 350. Now, I like to keep the turkey and the flavors I put on them fairly simple, because I want it to just be about that supple, fresh roasted turkey meats. So some salt on both sides, some cracked pepper, and just a sprinkle of dried thyme. Just a little herby underhint. And then I'll turn it on its second side. And you can see Justin gave me turkey breast with the bone still in. Roasting the turkey on the bone will keep it extra juicy as it cooks. More salt, pepper, and more dried thyme. I'll turn them skin side up and pop them in my oven. Now these weigh about 2 pounds each. I'm gonna count about 20 to 25 minutes per pound of turkey. Okay, now what are we gonna pile on top of that turkey? Because I wanna really have a 10-car pileup in this sandwich. A little bacon, a nice head of crispy lettuce, and a little creamy dressing. I've found the best way to cook bacon crispy is to start with a cold pan on a low heat, make a single layer of the bacon strips, and a little trick I picked up in France, add a little bit of water to the pan. This helps draw out more of the fat during cooking, and then you're pan frying the bacon strips in more of its own fat, so they actually get crispier. So I have some crispy iceberg lettuce, an American classic. Bland, yes. Amazing texture, cool, crispy, fantastic, also yes. And that's why I love to put it in my sandwiches. I take a whole head. I like to leave it in big pieces because it really soaks up the dressing nicely. And I'll just gather those in a bowl, and I'll pop this back in the fridge so they're nice and icy cold. Now, what about the dressing that's gonna go on this iceberg? If I'm not gonna go with my trusty standby mayonnaise, what am I gonna make that's gonna stand up and substitute? Well, I have a great understudy. A 1/4 cup of cream, a 1/4 cup of white wine vinegar, tablespoon of poppy seeds. Give it a whisk. Look at that. Now, before I put this dressing away, let's have a peek at what's going on with this bacon. Wow. Now, as this bacon flips on its second side and gets even crispier, I'm just gonna steal a spoonful of that bacon grease and pop it right into my dressing. And I'll just put this dressing into the refrigerator now. I love the smell of bacon. It's intoxicating. I want to stuff this into a sandwich and eat it by itself. But since we've made all these other things and arranged for this whole meal, it's time to really get everything together so this sandwich can be all that I imagine it to be. I'll just cut the bread. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it always needs to be toasted. I like my sandwiches with toasted bread. That extra brown flavor always adds a lot. So now I think that my turkey is ready. So as I put this bread in to toast, I'll pull out my turkey breast. As you walk, you can smell that dried thyme and the way it's coated that turkey. So once it comes out of the oven, I want to get this turkey breast right off this hot rack and put it on something cool to let it rest. So I'll let that cool to the side. So we have our iceberg lettuce chilling in the refrigerator. We have our bacon strips. How about that little fresh element that's just gonna be that little layer right in the sandwich that just adds a bit of tartness, maybe a little fruitiness? For me, that's a Granny Smith apple. Break them apart. A little bit of lemon juice just to keep them alive. Keep a little zip in their step until we're ready to put this sandwich together. Now for this particular sandwich, I've toasted the bread pretty dark. That's because I've got a lot of juicy stuff going on here and I want to keep that bread nice and crispy. First step is the turkey. I'm just gonna cut a few slices. Can you believe how juicy this turkey is? This is what really makes cooking fresh turkey meat at home worth it. Juicy, roasted, homemade, easy, tasty. Now I just kind of just layer this on. I want to go next on top of the turkey with those crispy pieces of iceberg lettuce. And here's where you got to start pressing. Some of that dressing. And I make sure that I get it soaking into the crevices of this iceberg. Then a few strips of that bacon and a few slices of apple. Listen to this sound, seriously. Oh, yeah. And then cut through all that layer. Wow. The roasted turkey is so juicy. It's so moist, it's warm. The bacon comes through, and I just got my first hint of those poppy seeds with the white wine vinegar and the cream. Just kind of ties it all together.
Now my ultimate steak sandwich starts off with thick, juicy ribeye. All right, so we're gonna take the steak. All right, just like this. And we're gonna slice it. All right, think about like a sushi chef, right? We're gonna take a very, very sharp knife, and we're gonna slice the steak almost sashimi style. And you want to cut the slices, all right, I mean, really as thin as you can possibly get it, probably a 1/4 inch. The idea is to let the steak melt together, and those thin slices is definitely gonna give you that. So we're gonna cut the steak, and then we're gonna stack it up almost like shingles. All right, now it's really important when you cut the steak to make sure you overlap it with just enough steak that when we pound it, it's gonna fuse together and it's gonna look like one solid piece. So let's take a look at this. Now what we're looking for is, steak that will cover a beautiful hoagie roll like this. So what we're gonna do is take the edges of the steak and we're just gonna roll it in on top of each other, all right, just like this. And then take the other side and kind of fold it in as well. Then we're gonna pound it one more time and we're gonna have a perfect shape for a steak sandwich. All right, cool. So we can take that same piece of plastic right on top of the whole thing. We're gonna give it a couple more pounds, all right? Now we're gonna season it right before it goes on the grill. At this point, we're gonna take a knife, cut it just like that. Take these two pieces of plastic. All right, we stack them right on top of each other. One right on the other. All right, and we are good to go. Quick little wash up. All right, perfect. We throw it right in the fridge. You keep it nice and cold. Just like this. And we have got our steak together for the ultimate steak sandwich. 1, 2, like that. All prepared, ready to go. Good Boy Scout. All right, you're gonna throw this in just like that. So what we're gonna make right now is the bechamel, which is basically like a milk gravy. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the butter, we're gonna cut it in half, and we're gonna drop just like a half a stick in. So we've got about a 1/4 cup of butter, and we're gonna add this equal parts flour, which is about kind of 3 big tablespoons here. 1, 2, and 3. Just enough, so it looks like wet sand. We're gonna make this with whole milk. Let's start to melt around a little bit. All right, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch gears from a wooden spoon to a wire whisk. And you wanna whisk as you put the milk in pretty vigorously. Then we're just gonna whisk in the whole milk. And we're gonna add about 2 cups of milk to this. The Gruyere is gonna melt perfectly into this. Now, if you want to mix up the cheeses or you can't find Gruyere, you can use anything. Use Swiss cheese, blue cheese, Parmesan, cheddar, a mixture of a few different cheeses if you want to. Probably 1.5 cups or 2 cups of grated Gruyere cheese. It's going to melt instantaneously. Just give that a stir. All right, the Gruyere sauce looks fantastic. It's going to have a beautiful flavor of the beef. Let's take a look at our hoagies. All right, they're kind of hot. See how it's starting to toast on the inside? They look beautiful. A couple more minutes, they're gonna be nice and golden brown. And right now, we are putting a little bit of horseradish into a Gruyere cheese sauce. Then we season up a little bit of salt and pepper, and then we dumped probably 1.5 or 2 cups of grated Gruyere cheese. And again, you can add any kind of cheese you want. And then to throw it off with a little kick, all right, we add about a tablespoon of prepared horseradish, the same stuff that you add with your Bloody Mary. So I know you got some in the fridge. And I'm just gonna give it a little taste. Oh, it looks beautiful. That's sensational. That just screams out for a steak sandwich right there. And what we're gonna do is take the plastic off. This is how it goes down in Philly, right? Right on the griddle. Got 2, just like that. All right, a little bit of salt, some fresh cracked pepper, and some olive oil. And we're cooking for probably 5 minutes on one side, because you want a really great crust. And then we're gonna flip the whole thing over, and they're gonna stay nice and juicy because it's ribeye. It's really fantastic. What we have here is some arugula dressing, some arugula mayonnaise, a little bit of mayo, all right, some fresh arugula, and a little bit of lemon juice, some extra virgin olive oil, some salt and pepper. And we're just gonna smear one good layer right on the bottom. And then we're gonna hit that flavor home one more time. We got some fresh arugula that we're just gonna put onto the bread here. Again, so it's green, it's crisp, it's fresh. It's not just steak and cheese. It also has a little bit of character to it. A little fancy, And honestly, if you don't have arugula, you just chop up some lettuce and put it around the bottom anyway, just to get some nice little snap. So you also get some temperature difference as well, because the steak is hot, the greens are cool. It's gonna be really delicious. Okay, so what we're gonna do, guys, check this out. My favorite scene. Okay, we're gonna take the steak, flip it over for a second. Look at that, nice and caramelized. This is how it happens in Philly. 1, 2, 3. Ready to take it off. Drop it on like that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Oh, man. It's crispy, it's delicious, and each steak sandwich is really half of a big, thick ribeye steak. Look at that, and awesome, right? And it's sliced so thin, it's so tender, and when you bite into it, the steak just kind of falls apart in your mouth. It's really good. Now take a look at this cheese sauce. That is phenomenal. Wow. Oh. Not a dry eye in the house, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Gruyere cheese sauce, fresh arugula. Then we're gonna take the sandwiches with the hoagie on a hinge. Right, we're gonna flip them over just like that. All right, we're gonna cut them in half. We're gonna stack it up on our plate. We made a really beautiful fresh coleslaw to go with the whole thing. Take a look at that. All right, I just like to present the sandwiches just like that. And you gotta get a little bit of sauce on your chin. Wow, flavors are phenomenal.
A beef on wax. So this is my upstate-style roast beef sandwich. First things first, get the oven on like 450. We'll work with that later, but just want to get that preheated. And I am taking, you know what this is, Jeff? Come on, Mr.
Chucky.
Uh-huh.
It's a sirloin.
It's a
What is
eye of the
it?
round, top
Eye of round.
So we need some spices for this, and all these are dry spices. This is what's really the key to this. Is it should be dry spices, not fresh herbs, okay? We're just gonna put some meat glue or Dijon mustard on, so so it just adheres. So just get this room temperature, remember, so it roasts evenly. You know, that's secret.
Why are you departing from the Zakarian credo of fresh herbs and going dry here?
It's what they do, and it's so good. I like, why mess with it with fresh
Maybe
herbs?
the texture, right? It's it's like a rub.
You're not gonna taste really the mustard. It just really helps get everything adhered. So we're doing oregano, parsley, dried parsley. You can put dried thyme. I'm just getting, whatever I add in the box, I like.
This would be
Oregano,
good
dried parsley,
use of the dried Italian seasoning with like
Yeah.
all
that together.
all the herbs.
It's a great idea, Jeff.
I know.
So there's some sage, oregano, and you can use Mexican oregano. I like Mexican oregano. Do you use that? I think
Yeah.
Love it, floral.
it's really very floral. And then we are gonna salt it like there's no tomorrow.
So your seasoning, I mean, clearly on all sides.
Yes.
Critical.
Critical. A good amount of pepper, but we're gonna put a ton of pepper in the sauce, which is really the best part of this is, I think, the sauce and that thing right there, which I'm gonna show you about. All right, so, again, this is a big hunk of meat. My oven is on 450. We're gonna start it out high, and then we're gonna drop it down for about 20 minutes to 300 and let it get to an internal temperature. People ask me how long, how many pounds per minute. I'm like, I don't go like that. It's just, I can't think like that. We're looking for an internal temp of 110 to 115. Bring it out and let it actually get cold and rest. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, Jeff.
Yes.
Let's put this in here. A piece of rosemary. I don't know if Charlie put rosemary on that, Charlie the butcher, but I'm doing it anyways. I like it. Some Worcestershire sauce. Some soy sauce.
So all that's just gonna mix with those meat drippings
Oh,
and get
you got it,
super
Katie.
delicious.
And some beef juice. This is where, I would say, forget the vegetable stock or chicken stock. You need beef stock for this one.
Yes, you
All right. You ready? So I brought this out, and I'm resting it until it gets room
Look at
temperature or
that.
cold. So this is just, it's chilled, but we're gonna slice it in a minute. First, we have to make the sauce.
Oh, it
Ready for the
smells
sauce?
so beefy in here right
So
now.
if you're going to the game, you can make this, put it in your cooler, bring it, slice it up, and make your sandwiches.
Yes. So we have now some sour cream, some cider vinegar, a boatload of horseradish. Really important that it has nose feel, because this is it's dense meat, and you really want to.
Nose heat.
Is that
Especially
a
at the
culinary
end.
term?
No, I just made
Nose
that up.
feel?
It sounds like you just made it up. Sounds like something I would say.
And again, a good amount of pepper. This is really very important that this is spicy and peppery, because this is a relatively fat-free piece of meat, and you need this to sort of.
Oh,
give it
good.
some
I can
taste.
have double
Yeah, free.
then. Free.
Sign me
Except
up.
for the butter.
Give
on
me
top.
extra sauce in that
know.
case.
All right, here's our, just smelling it makes me go crazy. All right, that's done. But then the beef, the weck, this is the roll. It's a soft roll, right? It's sort of like very airy, almost brioche-like.
Kaiser-like.
Kaiser Sosa roll.
There's
Jeffrey,
no
what
Kaiser
does
Sose
on
rolls
weck
here.
mean?
On
My
weck.
favorite.
It's just a
Favorite
roll.
baseball player.
The beef on weck, and I'm gonna make it right now, all right? A lot of melted butter.
Well, the full name for the roll is a Kummelweck roll.
Yes, Kemmelweck. So, caraway seeds, a good amount of them on top. You're just gonna pop this in the oven for 5 or 6 minutes just so it just sets, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of salt, again, but salt that
Coarse.
doesn't, Coarse
Coarse
salt.
salt.
Or sanding salt, right? What do they call that? Sanding salt?
Sure. Well, it's sandy sugar, but we're making up a
When you
lot of
put it on
things.
an apple tart,
Like
sanding
flaky
sugar.
sea salt would be good, right? Like
Yeah, but this is really chunky. You want this to get in your teeth.
Coarse salt, right?
Yeah. Just set it, right? And forget it 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Just set it. That's all
I
you want.
trust you.
Are you ready to have a sandy?
I'm ready. I sat in the right seat today.
Yes, you did. Okay.
Sauce, meat, bread.
Yes.
Done. Classic.
Okay, so we need sauce. So Jeff, I like to put the sauce on the bottom.
And why is
It is
that?
controversial, but in this application, because I know you're gonna put
Yeah.
some more of the drippings on the top, right?
And here's what I like to do also, some shaved onion, but very,
Oh.
very,
Wow.
very finely shaved.
And a
That's like a
yellow or
deli
a white
slicer.
onion. Ooh.
Yeah, right. A little more, just, I know you like onions, Katie.
Man, I tell you what, I'm gonna be tasting this all day long.
Yeah,
I
you
can
will.
already
Just
tell
when you
starting the
think that
day
you-
off.
Yep.
Slice it here, so you can
Oh,
see.
I want that little end piece.
This is a good time if you have a gas-powered deli slicer at the tailgate to rip it up.
I got an amuse-bouche.
Can you see that? So, you see how nicely it's cooked all the way through? Mm-hmm. That's when you rest it, when you make sure that you start at room temperature. Oh.
And you need a really sharp knife to get those.
So I'm gonna
nice
put a little, I
thin-
have this, this is the secret sauce that came off the pan, and we just strained it and put it in here. It's just, it's everything that, the mustard, the oregano, sage.
Oh, yeah.
So drop it in here.
Just a quick dip, right?
It's a little dip in the swimming pool.
That's it.
A quick dip. You know, no shampoo. We're not shampooing our hair today.
Wow.
Okay, Katie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna,
Double sauce application, top, bottom.
Oh,
Whoa.
this is gonna clear my
all.
sinuses.
Breaking all the rules today, this guy.
Katie, you changed your whole body like she hunched down.
She did the bite. She wore the sandwich sweater, so she get.
Oh. My God.
so that's really the first thing I had when I got to Buffalo. Even before I got to the future in-laws house.
That's unbelievable. Okay, first of all, the bun is so soft and having that salt and the caraway seeds, I got it all over me, right? All over.
It's okay.
At least I didn't get any on me, but it's still
day is young.
early.
Yeah.
And then the beef is so tender. And dipping it in that sauce just gives you this burst of flavor.
I'm putting a fast spin on a cowboy favorite with pressure cooker pulled pork sandwiches. I'm gonna brown the pork first. I'm starting with just half a batch. And I'm gonna add some seasoning while it sears. A tablespoon of salt, about half a teaspoon of black pepper, and then a teaspoon of chili powder, and a half a teaspoon each of garlic powder and onion powder. When I brown the second batch of the pork, I'll add seasoning then too. Okay, the second batch of pork is browned. So I'm gonna put the first batch in. This is a big bunch of pork shoulder, and it's gonna make a lot of pulled pork. Now I'm also gonna add an onion that I peeled and cut into quarters. And then I've got 5 cloves of peeled garlic, and I'll just stir it all together. Now the bottom of the insert of this pressure cooker is just completely coated in little brown bits and flavors, so I'm gonna help that along by adding 3 cups of chicken stock. Okay. Now I don't need to do another thing to this right now except just put on the lid. Set it to cook for 40 minutes on sealing. A good classic pulled pork sandwich is pretty hard to improve upon, but I'm gonna try by making a jar of pickled jalapenos and onions. These pickles add a really nice crunch, a little bit of tartness amid all of that sweet barbecue sauce. I'm gonna make the pickling liquid. I started with a cup of apple cider vinegar and a cup of water. And for a little sweetness, I'll add a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. Now I'm gonna turn this on high and heat this up pretty quickly. Okay, while the pickling liquid heats up, I'm gonna put the jalapenos and the onions into a big mason jar. I just sliced fresh jalapenos. I didn't get rid of the seeds at all. I want these pickled onions and jalapenos to be really spicy. Okay, this is just right, very, very hot. So I'm going to carefully pour this into the jar over the onions and jalapenos. Try not to drip too much on the counter. The perfect amount. I'm gonna put the lid on kind of loose since it's still really hot. Now I'm gonna let this come to room temperature and then I'll chill it for an hour and the pickles will be ready. The pressure cooker finished doing its thing and I released the pressure manually and then got the pork out of the machine and I'm just shredding it. I'm trying to get all the big chunks broken up. That looks fantastic. Now I'm gonna toss in some bottled barbecue sauce, probably about 1.5 cups. I'll just pour it over. I'm gonna take extra sauce. That is looking so good. Let me tell you how these delicious sandwiches are gonna come together. A bun, juicy pork, pickled jalapenos and onions, lid on, lunch.
ready for a win over here, okay? I'm representing the South with a West Virginia classic, a fried bologna sandwich.
It's a good sandwich.
So I'm starting off with my bologna here. You can look for the nitrate-free bologna.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
make
well,
those now.
I like nitrates.
I'm using a pork bologna. I like the flavor that's in it. My grandpa was the king of bologna sandwiches. He made them so good. Now, he always cut a little X in the center. You know, cutting slits in the bologna, it helps it not curl up. So you get all those
Center X.
nice crispy edges. And I'm just gonna put a little butter on it.
Oh, you need butter, man.
Really
You gotta have butter,
expensive
right?
these days, butter. I
Yep,
don't know.
and then I'm gonna just throw my bologna right on there.
Jeff, I gotta tell you, every time Katie dips into Grandpa's repertoire,
She does well.
she comes through with fire. So I know you started strong, but she might
Listen,
be the finisher,
I guess
the
if
strongest finisher in the game.
If I get beaten by, someone who did their shopping at a gas station,
Whoa,
then
whoa,
I guess I was.
Whoa.
All right, guys, so there's a lot of debate. Some people like to do yellow mustard on
That's
their
right.
bologna. Other people like mayonnaise. So I'm doing both on this
Whoa,
sandwich.
that's radical.
Yeah, one side of the bologna sandwich is gonna have the mayo, the other side is gonna have yellow mustard. And in my opinion, it needs to be yellow mustard. None of this fancy Dijon stuff going on. I just want the old school, I want that vinegary, acidy taste.
That gas station mustard.
Okay.
It's from the pack, is this
Look
from?
at-
Oh my God, yes,
Oh, my
Katie.
Lord.
Here we go. And I'm just gonna throw some
On that, oh
cheese
my
right
God.
on there.
Yeah, I think I invented this move.
Yeah, let's
sure.
get
Season
our
2 of
cheese
sandwich.
going.
How is Katie not fatter? Genetics? Genetics.
All right, I'm gonna just mush this all up here. There we go.
Oh, she's doing it.
Got a Sandwich King skills implemented here in
All
your
right.
sandwich construction. I'm just saying.
Jeff invented sandwiches too.
Oh.
All right, so here we go.
This is crazy. You know, it was
Build
so
this
crazy.
sandwich.
If I made this, the hood would not let me come back to the hood.
Why?
Because this is legit real. This is cooking for real right here on the kitchen, y'all.
Now I'm gonna take some barbecue potato chips to give us a little texture. Like so.
A lot
You know
of.
when you have the barbecue potato chips on the side and you take a bite and you take a bite? Now I'm gonna add some shredded iceberg lettuce.
Totally.
Give
Oh,
it a
she's-
little bit more crunch.
She's throwing you under the bus here.
I love
on
it.
here. All
going on-
right,
she's going
and
right at
now
you.
for the key ingredient.
Bologna
Have you
bus.
guys ever heard of chow chow?
Yes.
I have, yes, yeah.
All right, so chow chow, there's a northern version, a southern version. Northern version has more veggies in it. Southern version is mostly cabbage and some peppers. There's sweet or there's hot. I'm using the sweet. It's like a relish, so there's a good amount of acid in here that's gonna go great with that fat of the bologna. And we always had a jar of chow chow. Sometimes my grandma would make it homemade. You can buy it in the store, you can buy it online. But this is great, like on a piece of grilled fish, on a piece of grilled chicken, on your roast beef like Jeff had.
Hey,
It's
listen,
kind of like a southern.
Leave my beef out of it.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
This is my spicy chicken sandwich. Thank you. Thank you. I've already dropped some. I'm going to show you how to do it. So, Jeezy, I want you to make what is the marinade and will also become part of the dredge at the end, okay? So that's buttermilk, some hot sauce, and you know my favorite ingredient, hot Hungarian paprika. Whisk it all together.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got my chicken breast here. Now, first secret here is there's so many nooks and crannies and craggles in that chicken breast, and I would argue it's the biggest chicken breast I've ever seen at a fast food
It's big.
location.
It's big.
So the way we create that
It's
love.
a real breast to the whole breast?
It's a whole breast, GZ. It's crazy. You take some kitchen shears, you take your chicken breast, and just kind of give it some personality.
Now, I've never heard of that
Cut
technique.
some cuts in there because we want some of that breading and the batter to get in there and create some nice craggles, I like to call them.
Yeah, for sure.
So just create moments that can happen that are gonna give you some craggles. Now, don't go too far, and you don't have to go all the way through. So look, you see what I've done here? Just about 6 or 7 cuts, you know, maybe 8 around it. Create those little nooks and crannies.
Scientific.
Right into our batter or our marinade. It's gonna become a batter in a minute. Now, you refrigerate this overnight or leave it on your countertop for 2 hours, okay? If you do refrigerate this, make sure before you go to fry it that you put it on the countertop for 2 hours so it gets room temp.
Okay.
All right?
And I bet the cutting of it too helps it cook more evenly because that one end is so
does.
plump and then you have the tapered end, so it kind of
Exactly. It
matches up.
allows some of that oil to get in there and bring it to the right temperature. That's right, Jeff. You know what's up.
I know. It's
All right.
science.
So, these are the marinated chicken breasts. Taking them out of the marinade, that's just, remember, buttermilk, hot sauce, and the hot Hungarian paprika. And a lot of people have been to the fast food place. This looks really familiar because when you bite into their fried chicken, there's that pink layer of seasoned
so
love.
that's what it is.
All right, so look what's happening here. This is going into a bowl of flour.
Oh.
And then added to that, we're gonna do some baking powder, some cornstarch, and a little bit of water, only if needed. So start, you know, giving this a nice little whisk. And if it's a pancake consistency, leave it. If you need a little bit more water to loosen it, then you're gonna add that in. And I would say we probably need a little bit more water. It all depends how much of your marinade is left over. And just patting these dry, okay? Getting as much off as we can. And then a little bit more water.
Yes,
just
chef.
a little bit more.
It's all about the pickle, in my opinion.
A little bit more.
The pickle.
The
Because
pickle-
the pickle with the fried,
I also think the
and
bun.
then the bun.
Yeah.
And I would argue that this pickle at this establishment, oh, look at that. So the pickle at this
Wow.
establishment is just not even a typical pickle.
No.
It's a little bit thicker and has a little bit more chew to it.
So it's your atypical pickle?
It's the atypical pickle. All right, so I'm just gonna get a nice internal on this.
160?
You see that right
Perfection.
there? 159.
Perfection.
It's good to take it out right now because that carryover temperature and cooking is gonna get it to that
Wow.
160, 165. Now, I like to kind of keep this on crumpled up paper instead of flat. Yeah, Jeezy.
Yeah.
Hit it with a little bit of salt right as it comes
Right
out.
there.
And then I'm just gonna show you how to dredge and get these in. All right, so chicken breasts, dried off. They're wet. So I'm gonna go into some flour.
This is like lunacy, right?
Yeah.
In a good way.
This
Look
is
at
creating the craggles. You need the
Craggle.
crunchy, you need the craggle crunch, you
This
need
is
all
as
of that.
close as Geoffrey's ever getting to a fast food restaurant.
Right? Into,
No, I saw him at one in the drive-thru last night in Jersey. He was
He
wearing
does it in secret.
Yeah.
into our batter,
Just like that? You
just
fry
like
it?
that. Back into the flour.
Oh, you're doing a
Back in the
crusty
triple.
crust.
Triple
double
apple
it
pie.
up.
Flour.
this
These
is-
are the tricks. These are the tricks the restaurants, the fast food places are doing.
But it's nice to see. I mean, if you're gonna have food, make it good food. That's
Exactly.
Fast, not
And
just
right
fast.
into the oil. That's peanut oil. You can also do a vegetable oil if you like, and that'll work. So I'll put one together for you. It's not gonna be too bad. You do want it kind of like right when you got it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we've got the buns. They are buttered.
That's what I'm
brioche
talking
buns,
about.
All right.
Buttered and toasted.
What's the mayo?
So the mayo is very simple. It's just some mayonnaise and a little bit of that sauce from the chipotle and adobo in that little tiny can. You only need to scoop out like a little bit, like a teaspoon, for half a cup of mayo. You don't want to blow your lid off. So
I love mayonnaise. I mean,
Jeff?
to me, it's like a mayonnaise on a fried chicken sandwich.
It's really the only thing. There's certain things I'll eat mayonnaise on. One's like a club sandwich, like crispy bacon and iceberg, and others a fried chicken sandwich. Otherwise, I need to have like flavoring in it.
all right, now I always ask for extra pickles. So
Me
I'm just gonna give you, yes, I'll give you 4,
Yes.
1 per quadrant.
You know, the other good thing about when you are at the fast food and you ask for extra pickles, then they make it fresh.
Yes, they do. That
It's
is
not sitting there
that
in
is
the
a
lineup.
no.
That's a
always.
trick. Look at that, right on top.
Look at that.
A little bit more.
I mean, that's for like 2 people, no?
No, that's one person. And
Not possible.
we didn't even drive away. We sat in the parking lot and ate that
Yeah, but that's
sandwich
so much
both
food.
times. Like, we are not taking that baby home.
Jeffrey, have we met?
Now, then,
Yes.
you gotta, just like the place, you gotta get it into a pouch. Then I'm gonna close it
I'm
up and
feeling
give it
this.
to you.
I'm feeling it.
And that kind
There
of
you go.
steams
Love
up the
it.
bun
That
and
steams
everything.
up the bun, keeps everything
You
nice and
give me a
warm.
napkin. I'm gonna need it.
You need
Yeah,
a
give
chicken
her a
bit for
napkin.
this.
This is you gotta put
Yeah,
your
you
hair
need
back. Yeah.
Here, can I help you with this one?
Yeah, you can help me with that one, get that out. And there you
not
have it. It's
not
my
ready yet,
spicy
right?
chicken sandwich, y'all. Forget wait.
I mean, look at that
That's
thing
it.
of
You got the
beauty.
thick
Here
end
we
and
go.
the tapered end.
You got the thick and the tapered, crunchy goodness.
Stunning.
Is it close?
It's better.
What?
It's so crunchy and juicy on the inside. It's perfectly cooked. And the pickles, and I'm telling you, that soft, buttered, toasted bun, it's toasted to perfection. This is a real thing of beauty here.
I don't think there's a restaurant in America that doesn't have a chicken Caesar salad on the menu. I'd like to take something really traditional and do it with a twist. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to take the croutons and put it on the outside? So I'm gonna make a chicken Caesar salad sandwich. So I'm gonna start with ciabatta, and I'm gonna put it on a sheet tray and bake it at 350 for about 5 to 7 minutes until it's just a little toasted. Next thing is the pancetta. So I'm gonna take 8 slices of pancetta and just put them out in a single layer on a sheet tray. And I'm gonna bake it along with the ciabatta until it's nice and crisp like bacon. Okay, last 2 pieces. Into the oven, 350 degrees. This one for 5 to 7 minutes, this one for 15. I cooked some chicken for the sandwich. Actually, I find this is such a great way to do it. It's on the bone with the skin on, olive oil, salt and pepper, 350 degrees, 35 minutes. It's really moist. Perfect. So the best part of this sandwich is the garlicky Caesar dressing that I'm gonna make for it. First, I'm gonna start with garlic. Right into the food processor. Okay, next, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. Okay, that's about 2 tablespoons. Right in the food processor. Next thing is anchovy paste, critical for Caesar dressing. 1½ teaspoons. Anchovy paste gives this really great flavor. 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Just process that until the garlic and the parsley are minced. Great. Okay, now some lemon juice. About 1½ tablespoons. Okay. 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. Okay, just make a nice smooth sauce. And that's Caesar dressing. So first, I'm gonna slather this sandwich. And the toasted bread really is gonna absorb all this great sauce. Okay, time to layer the sandwich. First, I'm gonna start with a layer of baby arugula, if you can find it. It's nice and peppery, it's great with this. Okay, the next thing is sun-dried tomatoes. This is gonna make about 5 or 6 sandwiches. The next thing is Parmesan cheese. I think it's so much nicer if you have like a whole slice of it. Right on top. Next is the cooked pancetta, right down the middle. So the next thing is the chicken. So I'm just gonna take the skin off. And then I'm just gonna slice it and put it right on the sandwich. Okay, right onto the sandwich. Just right down the middle. Okay, a little salt and pepper. Right on top of the chicken. And pepper. The last thing is some arugula right on top. Put the top on and just slice it in sandwiches. Oof, this is gonna be really good. I don't know if we'll get any work done. It'll be delicious. We're all gonna need a nap instead of getting any work done. We can get this one on. Perfect. So the thing that's so amazing about these is the layers of flavors and textures. The chicken has a double crust, so it's really crispy. And the sauce is made with buttermilk and mayonnaise, so it's kind of tangy. And fresh herbs, so it's really fresh. So good. And then there are pickles involved. So I'm gonna make the sauce first. So I've got a cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of buttermilk. I wanna be sure to shake it first, which I did. Just whisk it in. teaspoon of white wine vinegar just to give it a little tang. I'm gonna whisk that together and then put in lots of fresh herbs. Okay, first the scallions. I need 2 tablespoons of sliced or chopped scallions, the white and the green parts. I think a lot of people use a knife by just doing it up and down, but it's really good to use the blade and have it sort of rock back and forth, and then you get the best use of it. And the scallions cut really cleanly. Okay, so 2 tablespoons, that's about 2 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon of minced chives. Got lots of onion flavor. I love chives. Okay, it's about 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of minced parsley. This recipe actually originally came from Shake Shack, which is Danny Meyer's fast casual hamburger restaurant. And what's interesting is I was thinking about making fried chicken with a double coating, but I'd never actually gotten around to doing it. And that's exactly what they do with the Shake Shack chicken. So I thought, I think I'll try that. And it was amazing. So 1 tablespoon of parsley, just stir it in. Okay, a little bit of thyme. All kinds of herbs in this. I'm just gonna strip it right in, just a little bit. Give it another layer of flavor. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and that's it. So that's the herb mayonnaise. Now I'm gonna show you the chicken, which I'm keeping warm in the oven. Wait till you see this. Now, how good does that look? Wow. Chicken inside is really tender and crispy outside. I'm gonna tell you how I made it. This is the best. There are 4 tricks to the fried chicken. First, a great marinade with 2 cups of buttermilk. The acidity tenderized the chicken. 1 sliced shallot, 2 smashed garlic cloves, 1 halved jalapeno pepper, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of pepper, all stirred together. I put the chicken in the marinade and coated it. It's 6 halved chicken breasts flattened to 1/2 inch, which tenderizes them and ensures that they cook evenly. Then I put them in the fridge for 8 hours for the marinade to get into the meat and to flavor it. Next, I made a flavorful coating mix. I added 4 teaspoons of baking powder to 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, along with 2½ teaspoons of smoked paprika, a teaspoon each of cayenne pepper and celery salt, a tablespoon of kosher salt, 1½ teaspoons of black pepper, and whisk them all together. Then the third trick is that I double dip the chicken. I removed each piece of chicken from the marinade, dipped it in the flour, back into the marinade, and then back into the flour. And I promise this makes all the difference in the world. Then the fourth and final trick is how I cook it. I fry the chicken 3 pieces at a time. You don't want to overcrowd them. In 2 inches of oil, heated to 350 degrees. I cooked them for 5 minutes, flipping them halfway through. Then, when they were deliciously crispy, I put them on a rack over a sheet pan and kept them warm in a 250-degree oven while I fried the second batch. I did exactly the same with the last 3 pieces. I took the fried chicken out of the oil, put it on the rack, sprinkled on some salt, and kept all the chicken warm in the oven. Those tricks really make a difference. Okay, now I'm gonna put the sandwich together, which in the business is known as flavor build, as in where you put everything in the sandwich makes a difference in how it tastes. Bet you didn't know that. So first I'm gonna take the hamburger bun. I'm using potato buns, which I think have great flavor. I toasted them a little, 300 degrees for about 10 minutes. Put sauce on the bottom. Next I'm gonna put a piece of lettuce. I'm using Boston lettuce because it's really tender and delicious. Piece of lettuce. And then pickles. These are really good pickles, like 4 pieces of pickle. So it turns out where you put the pickle in the sandwich makes a difference in how it tastes. I don't know why the order makes a difference in how it tastes, but it just does. Okay, next is the chicken. Oh, look how good this is. Right on top, just barely fits. And then more sauce on the bun. and put that on top. And that's a Shake Shack chicken sandwich. And that one's got my name on it. Okay, that's one. I'm gonna make 5 more. Well, you can see why these are Geoffrey's favorite chicken sandwich. Mine too. And if you make them, they're gonna be your favorite chicken sandwich.